Chris Obisi is here with us from the University of Lagos. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
From time to time, just a quick one on that one. I don't know if you can speak to it, particularly because we are essentially talking about nation building as we ebb towards the independence of the country. This whole talk about the rains falling and governments at various states advising their people to move from the vulnerable areas of flooding to uphill, if I can use the term. How feasible do you see that?
You know, Nigeria is supposed to be a developed country by now. Unfortunately, when we are not doing what we're supposed to do, this is what is bound to happen. If every Nigerian will sit up and do what is expected of him or her, there won't be any problem. We are aware that rainy season is coming. What did we do? Why are we not prepared? Why are we not taking action? Unfortunately, inaction has brought us to where we are. So that's the problem with the country. Unless we start taking proactive action, thinking global, acting local, taking action, by next year, the same thing will continue to happen.
Unfortunately, you're right.
So that's the tragedy of Nigeria and Africa.
Is this a government issue or a people issue for you?
It is a government issue, people issue, Nigerian issue, African issue. We're all in the game. We are blaming everyone. We are blaming the citizens. We are blaming the government. That's the truth.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the things that I'd like to discuss with you is homegrown solutions. There is always a way that some of these things ought to be addressed. Whether or not we are looking at it, it's another thing altogether. Now that we are talking about people, the first issue I'd like to raise with you is human capital development. A number of people have raised issues with the quality of content that is used or impacted into students, particularly in universities, even from, you know, the nursery, primary, and secondary schools into the universities. As a lecturer, what can you say about the quality of students that come into the universities? Let's start from there, because it's garbage in, garbage out, so to say. So if the students from universities do not have the kind of their minds ready for what they're going to be receiving in the universities, then how is it going to go? So speak to us about that quality, first of all.
You know, we hear people say that a standard is falling in Nigerian universities, in Nigerian schools. Standard is not falling. The standard is not falling. What is happening is that we don't have the right infrastructure. The standard is there. It's for all the stakeholders to play their own game, to play their own part. Students should be equipped, universities should be equipped, schools should be equipped, stakeholders should do what they are supposed to do. If we do our own bit, everyone does his or her own bit, we won't have the problem we are having. If you go to many universities, many schools, particularly now that parents are paying school fees, particularly now that these children are resuming, what infrastructure have we put in place? The government is trying in terms of providing some facilities, but it is not enough. So like you said, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't invest, if you don't sow, you cannot reap. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we are fond of trying to reap where we have not sown, and we tend to go back to square one. So that is the issue.
Is that a problem? Is this issue that you're raising now, is it a function of the quality of the curriculum, the academic curriculum that we use in the universities, I beg your pardon, in the secondary schools, that does not adequately prepare students for the university?
You know, the government is working on that ground. Just about 2-3 weeks ago, an updated, revised curriculum came out. And when you go through those curriculum, you can see that the government have tried to streamline the courses. Previously, you see school age, secondary school, doing 15 courses, 17 courses. That's too big. That come down to 9 courses. And that's what they should do. Because you are bombarding these children with what they are not supposed to do. So that streamlining the curriculum is good. The current curriculum is effective if properly administered, if properly managed. So
how about the universities themselves?
Yes.
We have heard a minister in this country say that the quality of graduates we produce in our universities are not employable. A minister of education at the time, a minister of employment, said that many of the graduates that are produced from our ivory towers are not employable. That was some 5 years ago or thereabout. What's your response to that?
I think that's 5 years ago. There is something we call BMAS in the university system, whereby the curriculum are being updated. Many courses are being phased out in the universities as we speak today. So that BMAS curriculum is up to date. The problem we are having in the university system is that the funding is not enough. We have talented, mobile, skillful teachers in the system. The students need to blend theory with practice, like entrepreneurship, and that's what the new curriculum is also coming about. In foreign universities like Stanford, like Harvard, that's what we are trying to do in the University of Lagos now, that before you graduate from the University of Lagos now, you must have developed a product, you must have developed a service as part of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is now compulsory in many universities, particularly in the University of Lagos. So 5 years ago is in the past, but today we are doing the right thing.
It's a function of the system,
yes.
Prof, and which is the issue that I'm raising here now.
Yes.
It's a function of whether or not the curriculum that raises the students, yes, prepares them for the future.
Yes.
Thankfully, you said that there is an upgrade now. Yes. We're hoping that the curriculum aligns with the education policy, yes, to produce substantial citizens and human capital development that the country needs in the, yes, future. Yes. So it's a function of whether or not that alignment is there, Prof.
Yes, yes. Actually, the truth, the main problem is also that the town and gown system, whereby we carry out research in the university, upload the research outcome to the system, to the market, to the industries. But the industries, are they buying it? A lot of research outcomes are there being wasted. Like you say in Nigeria and in Africa, if you want to hide something for an African or a Nigerian, put it in a book, because we don't read book. So we believe there should be more synergy between research outcomes, industry, and the university, so that industry can be funding university and research outcomes, which some companies are not doing. You know, it's a shame. I don't want to sound depressed, but how can a company be sponsoring Big Brother but cannot fund research? How can a company be playing to the gallery but cannot fund research? So this is a sort of misplaced priorities, and that's why we are lagging behind.
Is that a function? Is that a problem for the corporates? Because the corporates wants to make money. So how is research going to give them money? How is research going to give them profits? That shouldn't research be a function of what the government and the institutions such as yours would do themselves?
No. Most of innovations today emanate from the universities, from research outcomes.
So who should be funding this? Who should be funding these research? These research initiatives?
Organizations, industries.
So government doesn't have anything to do with that?
No. It's collaborative effort.
How about the role of the universities themselves?
Yes.
To fund, research initiatives.
Yes.
How about that?
No. The universities were there in terms of conduct and carry out research. There are research funds sent by government, sent by organizations, sent by donor agencies to the universities to fund research, but they are not enough. So what I'm saying is this, that organizations, industries, companies can collaborate with the universities, fund research for their own benefit, and they will make more money. Most of innovations coming out all over the world as a result of collaborative effort and funding by companies, organizations. You see Bill Gates funding so many researches, outcomes. So Nigerian organizations must also collaborate and listen to researchers. We have written to many companies that want to carry out the research on this, which will benefit companies, but many of them are not interested. Some of them are not interested.
Perhaps that's a function of perspective.
Yes.
Well, there is one of these things that has also been said about whether or not maybe the universities themselves, if they have enough resource, they might be able to champion some of these things, and the impact will be felt by these organizations that you're talking about. For instance, NEL Fund, the NEL Fund loan and the new loan scheme that's introduced, for the universities, by the Ministry of Education. How do you see that helping in the capacity development, in the human capital development in the organization, in schools?
Yes, the NEL Fund program should be commended. The NEL Fund program is very, very relevant and important, particularly for Nigerians that would not have the opportunity to be able to go to school and pay for their education. So NEL Fund is a good program. It has to be sustained. But the truth about the NEL Fund program is that it is a program that is going a long way to help people who would ordinarily not be able to pay fees, particularly today. In Nigerian universities, federal universities, we don't pay tuition fee. But there are charges, and those charges have gone up. Many students, more than 50% of students, might not be able to go to the university if not with the help of NEL Fund. So what they can do is to go to the grassroots, communicate to Nigerians to embrace this NEL Fund program, because it should be a good program for them to be.
The issue a number of people are still having with that is sustainability, but perhaps that's a question for the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
Markwe, my colleague in Abuja, has questions for you as well. Go ahead, Markwe.
Well, Professor Obisi, I have to commend your passion on this matter of education. You clearly are very passionate about it. I want to take you up on your own department, more specifically, as with how it regards, with regards to how it concerns issues in town, from the gown to the town. Take a look at, you are a lecturer in the Department of Employment Relations and Human Resource Management. And in recent times, we have seen quite a number of threats to strike actions, not just by NUPENG, which is threatening to go on strike over what is happening in the petroleum industry, but we've also seen threats by ASU, we've seen that by NARD, that's the National Association of Resident Doctors, and a number of others. And I know that as somebody who, focuses on this as an area of study, it must be something that bothers you. What are some of the things that you think we're getting wrong in terms of employee and industrial relations, generally in our country?
Mawukwe, thank you for this relevant question. We need a new mindset in this country. The industrial relations conflict, the employment relations conflict in Nigeria today, they are needless, they are avoidable, they are not necessary. When you say employment relations, when you say industrial relations, you are talking about three parties in a relationship. The workers, represented by the trade union, the employer, represented by the management, and the state, that's the country, represented by the government. These three parties are in a relationship to ensure industrial peace, to ensure industrial harmony. But unfortunately, management must manage, employers must employ, workers must unionize, the government must play its role. For example, the role of a government all over the world should be to be an unbiased umpire. Just like in a football match, you have two teams and you have a referee at the center of the pitch, ensuring that the game of football is played according to rules and regulations. That should be the role of government. But where conflict comes is when government that's supposed to play the role of an unbiased umpire is no longer playing that role. Then conflict is bound to occur. Secondly, when an employer is not playing the role of an employer and wants to unionize, play the role of union, then conflict is bound to occur. And when workers don't want to go about doing their own work, then conflict is bound to occur. In other words, if you live your life and I live my life, there will be no conflict. But conflict will only occur when you want to stop living your own life and to interfere in my own life. That's when conflict will occur. So that's the issue. Even in the country, the problem we're having is when people are not supposed to do what they're supposed to do and trying to interfere in the work of others, conflict is bound to occur. Look at what is happening in the Dangote situation. The Labour Act is very clear. Not only Nigerian Labour Act, but Labour Act all over the world. As a union in the oil sector, we have unionized and non-unionized organizations. The oil sector is a unionized organization. So what is going to happen is that once you're a worker employed in an oil sector, you are free to join a union. You are free not to join a union. Indeed, you can write to the management of the company, I don't want to join this union. Don't deduct my check-off dues and give to them. But no employer has the right to begin to form a union. No. You must allow workers out of their own free will to form a union. However, there are strategies you can use to manage that particular union as an employer. You can employ the strategy they are using in Nigeria, which we call divide and rule or divide and conquer. But you cannot form a union, no, or you instigate to form a union for a particular organization. It is not done anywhere in the world. So the conflict we are having in the oil sector now is avoidable and is unnecessary. See, Nigeria has missed the bus. The train has gone so far, and we don't need to further delay. We need a new mindset. The era of thinking that workers are enemy. No, unions are not enemy. They are partners in progress. There is mutual interest for all. But government should do their own work as an unbiased empire, as a regulatory authority. They should not be biased. Workers should be alive to their duties, to their responsibilities. Union should also do their own bit. As an employer, employer should do its own bit. You know, I'm just worried because the employers in Nigeria has an umbrella body. That's the NECA. And the DG NECA is an expert in industrial relations, in employment relations. If there is any issue concerning employer, that organization like Dangote can pick a call and place a call to their body, that's the Employers Association. But unfortunately, we are not doing what we are supposed to do, and that's where we are having conflict.
Do you see, what solutions do you see to the current impasse between Dangote refineries and NUPENG?
You know, let us adhere to industrial relations, employment relations strategies. What they can do is very simple. Allow the union organize themselves, because the oil sector in Nigeria is a unionized organization. Let them join the union, collaborate with the union, that's the trade union, that's NUPENG, that's Pengasson, that's his senior staff. Collaborate and work harmoniously with them. Because there's something we call casualization. There's something we call outsourcing. There's something we call labor contractor or contract labor. That is what is playing out. Because when you contract out some part of your services to another body, you deny the union of check-off dues that would come to them. And no union will stand idly by and allow that to happen. The truth is that casualization, contract labor, if you go to many organizations in Nigeria, is deep-rooted and pervasive in this country. You can see an HR manager in an organization. I've been working for a particular organization for 6, 7, 10 years. He or she does not know that he is a casual worker, is a contract worker. What do? Every year, they renew his or her appointment. And that's an unfair labor practice. And that does not augur well for peaceful and sustainable employment relations in the country. What they can do is to move forward, start doing the right thing, start playing the game of employment relations the way it's supposed to be played. Be an employer. Let union do their work. Relate with them. There is no way they are going to shortchange you if you harmoniously work with them.
Back now to Ayo.
Well, thank you, Malkwe. Just one question, and then, we can call this a day. There are those who are saying that the issue that the organized labor is having is because they are going to feel shortchanged. Just as you have said, there are some, you call it check-off dues that goes to the unions. But there are those who are also saying that the unions get some fragments of percentage from every liter of fuel that comes from a particular from any refinery, even from the importation process. So there's those who believe that it is because of that the unions are crying foul. But then it will seem like it's something that perhaps Dangote refinery is saying, look, these things, this kind of dues or percentage that is going to the unions is part of the reason that fuel costs are rising.
You see, that may be part of it, but I don't think that's the fundamental issue. The fundamental issue is that what is happening at Dangote between NUPENG, Pengasson is an existential issue. It is about giving the union the freedom to unionize. It's about allowing union to play their role. It is also about allowing an employer to play the role of an employer. That might be a side issue. Because if you deplete the membership of a union, because they say that united we stand and divided we fall, it's going to affect the union. So I don't think that might be a side issue, but the principal issue is that workers should be allowed to form a union. But as a union member, you are free to say, I don't want to be a member of a union. So what Dangote can do, which I'm not supposed to make this suggestion, but because as a professional, what they can do, allow them to form a union, which is normal. But after forming a union, you can put up some strategies to manage them, even to your own favor. You recall that when Wabara was Waba was the NSC president, this current NLC president had a splinter union. There's a way these things are done, which we can give them advice on how to do this.
Of course, that advice, I'm pretty sure, is going to cost them something, but don't talk about that cost right here. Now, yes. Professor Chris Obisi. Chris Obisi is a lecturer, Department of Employment Relations and Human Resource Management at the University of Lagos. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure. God bless.